Andy Bass, a three-star athlete out of the state of Oklahoma from Heritage Hall High School here in Oklahoma City, is about to announce his top three. And we got a chance to sit down with him and talk about his recruitment and kind of just talk about his thoughts of where everything is at. And it's something that we have to discuss, something that we need to talk about. And before we get into the interview, I kind of want to give you guys a little bit of insight to who Andy Bass is. And he is a 5'11", 200-pound on 247, is listed as a quarterback, but really you look at him as just a straight up athlete, because when you watch his film, he's so dynamic and so versatile. He can do so many things in different ways. And so you look at Andy Bass and what he could be for really any team. You look at it and go, Andy Bass might be just that dude at any school. Now, the important thing is Andy Bass's recruitment has really started to heat up really towards the beginning of March, where you saw him pick up an offer on June 9th from Syracuse. He got an offer from Oklahoma on June 13th. He got an offer from Kansas State on June 26th. And then, of course, previously before that, he held offers from the likes of Kansas and some of those schools. So Andy Bass is a guy that maybe even throughout his senior season, you could see more offers be thrown his way. And the Oklahoma Sooners definitely would like to try to keep this guy in state and keep him on the Oklahoma Sooners roster, because Andy Bass could be a guy that could do many different things for you depending on exactly what you want to do. But at the quarterback position in his season of 2022, he had 318 passing attempts for 200 completions, 2,833 passing yards, 28 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 117 rushing attempts, 970 rushing yards for 17 rushing touchdowns. So again, Andy Bass is a guy that is extremely versatile. You see it in the film, and that's something that we're actually going to take a look at after the interview. But before we jump into it, guys, go ahead and hit that like, hit the subscribe button, jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are around the three-star athlete Andy Bass. Where do you guys think he will end up landing? All right, I'm going to drop you out and I'm going to pull you back in. All right, guys, and we are back today with another one for you guys, as we are bringing the three-star athlete, according to the 247 composite rankings, Andy Bass, who is a hometown hero from Heritage Hall High School, and we have him joining us today. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on the podcast. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to jump into it. So before we dive into your recruitment, tell us just a little bit more about you. So where did you grow up and where do you play high school football?
So I was born in San Diego, California. My dad was stationed out there at the time. He's in the Marines, so lived there for a couple of years, and we moved here kind of to get closer to family and for his work. I lived here ever since. I went to a different private school in Oklahoma City, and I transferred my freshman year to go to Heritage Hall. So that's why I didn't play my sophomore year. It's just as because of the transfer rules in Oklahoma. But so yeah, ever since then I've been at Heritage Hall, and definitely couldn't have made a better choice to go there, and been living it up, just enjoying my high school career, and one more year to go. So.
Yeah, so you guys surviving the heat? I'm assuming you guys have practices in the summer?
Yeah, we do morning workouts Monday through Thursday, but we start at 6:30, so it's pretty cool for the running and stuff.
Dang, you're getting that 60 and 70-degree weather. So, hey, well, wherever you go to college, they're going to make you work out in that hot, hot heat. So maybe weather will play a factor in your decision there. But let's talk a little bit more about your recruitment. So go ahead and give us a little bit of insight. Who's recruiting you, and kind of who are some of the bigger schools on your list?
So I got my first offer, I think it was May 15th, so just over 2 months ago. And everything's just kind of come on really fast since then. But so first one was UPenn, and then kind of all the Ivy Leagues followed, and then finally I got my first Power 5 offer from Syracuse in around mid-June. So got that, went on an official visit there. It was a great time. Their coaching staff is great. I mean, they've been super nice and reached out a lot, and they're definitely super interested. So been there, and then kind of the Power Five started rolling in. You know, everybody says it just takes one offer, and it really does. All it takes is one, and then it kind of gives everybody the green light to push for you. So yeah, it's been great. Been enjoying the journey.
Yeah, and I think you're showing probably what about 15 offers is what 247's reporting. So you got a few on there. So that's exciting. And it is true. You see one roll in and the others they start to follow. So what has this recruiting process been like for you? Where have you been? And kind of do you have a dream school or offer that you've received?
I wouldn't say there's one dream school, and I'm not just saying that. There's actually I've never really had one school I've always wanted to go to, but like I said, I got my first one just over 2 months ago, so it's all kind of rolled in really fast. Um, for a while, it just was a blur, just one after another. But I really appreciate all of them, and they all mean a lot to me. And I've definitely considered every single school that has reached out to me. So,
No, yeah, that is 100% awesome there. And so go ahead and just give us a little bit more insight to your recruitment, right? So who has been probably the funniest recruiter that you've met so far?
um, well, it's funny because it's actually probably not one of them that have offered me. But back in the spring, one of the coaches from UCA, Coach Jamar Johnson, came to our school, and he was talking to me and some of the boys, and we were all dying laughing. So that was a lot of fun. Two of my buddies actually just went up there, and they're on their way back right now. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. And have you been to any like camps or anything and have got to compete against any big time recruits or have you met any big time recruits?
Um, I wouldn't say so. I think a lot of the big time ones in my class, kind of their recruiting started a lot earlier than me, so they didn't really necessarily have to go to as many camps as I did this summer. But I started off the summer at SMU and TCU, and then I was at OSU, Texas A&M, um, Syracuse, Oklahoma, Kansas State, Navy, Air Force. So I've been kind of all over the country, just seeing all the. It's really cool to see all the different, campuses and universities, and just see how people do things differently. So definitely learned a lot.
Yeah. And so you've been to a couple places earlier in the green room. We were talking about some of the places that you've been to, some of the colleges that you visited over the summer, and you had a busy June and July. So, what is the best stadium that you've ever been to, whether it was during a visit or you just went there for a game? And so far, what school has stuck out the most in terms of just like facilities and things like that?
Well, I mean, all the Power Five schools are their facilities are pretty crazy, and I know OU's getting new ones. Syracuse is getting new ones. K State just got a bunch of new. They just got a new indoor last year, so the facilities at all of them are pretty impressive. I wouldn't say there's one that's like, way better than the other, but they're all, multi-million-dollar facilities, so they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, so you've talked a little bit about, or we mentioned Kansas State and Oklahoma, but go ahead and, talk about Kansas, right? I see Kansas on the list, and I'm a little intrigued from a recruit standpoint about just how Kansas is handling things in recruiting in the new era of Lance Leipold. It seems like they're really turning it around up there, and it seems like Lance Leipold has an effective pitch.
Yeah, they had a really good year last year. I was impressed of how well they did, but they actually thought it's a funny story. They thought I was a 2025, so they were like not really pursuing me very hard at first, and then I guess somehow they found out I was a 24. So went to camp, and then at camp there I ran a 4.39 or 4.37 40. So that kind of caught their attention, and then went through the drills, went through the one-on-ones and stuff, and was able to work with some of their coaches, and actually their defensive coordinator was the one who reached out to me and has been talking to me, Coach Borland, um, and he was the one who extended my offer. So
Well, a 4.37 40, dude, that's going to catch anybody's attention. So going down the road, you've got Kansas State. And listen, they've been the thorn in Oklahoma fans' side. We got a lot of OU fans that watch this podcast, and they might be like, "You, we're talking about Kansas State," but what has that been like in the new era that they have with their new head coach? What was it like going to a place like Manhattan, Kansas?
I went back there. I went there my freshman year. Actually, I went to a camp, and they were just kind of like I was kind of so about it. And I obviously went back at the end of June. And I mean, I really like the place. It's great vibes on this campus, and they have really nice facilities. Like I said, they just got a new indoor. And I really like the way their coaches do things there. Coach LePack has been recruiting me pretty heavily. He's from Oklahoma, so he kind of, I guess you could say he's a little biased, but I know I really like their whole coaching staff. I got to meet their DC and their OC. So yeah, I really like their staff a lot, and it was great to go out there and get to meet all of them.
No, that's awesome there. And you took a visit out to Syracuse, and you've been to Oklahoma. So do you have any visits currently scheduled that are coming up that people should be watching out for? And do you kind of have a date that you want to have this commitment narrowed down?
I'll be at OU the 28th. That's kind of like my last visit that I'll be on, and then I think during the season I'm gonna try to go on a few game day visits. I know my mom just kind of got a trip planned to go to the Clemson Syracuse game at Syracuse, so that should be a fun one. And as far as making a decision, I personally I haven't made a decision yet. I've kind of narrowed down my list quite a bit. I'm announcing my top three next Saturday, which is my birthday, so that's kind of why I'm doing it then. And then we'll just kind of see how it goes throughout the season, see what happens.
All right. Well, happy early birthday there. And what a way to celebrate by announcing the top three. I'm sure those fan bases will be excited to kind of get an idea of what future recruit they could be potentially getting here in the waning months. But just kind of going into some more fun questions, right? We've talked a little about the recruitment. We talked a little bit more about you, but something that we like to ask a lot of the recruits that come on this podcast is, pineapples on pizza. What's your take?
I've actually never tried it before, but I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on it. That's something I need to try before I have an opinion on it, though. I don't want to offend anybody.
I don't like pineapple, so I don't think I'd like it on pizza. But a lot of people that have came on have just said yes all day long. So it's something that I guess maybe one day I'll have to try. But kind of deep diving a little bit more into it. On a Friday night, you've got nothing to do. What are you watching? What are you turning on? What's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite movie?
Right now, I'm watching that new quarterback show with Patrick Mahomes and Marcus Mariota, um, and Kirk Cousins, of course. Kirk Cousins is my favorite one on that show. So yeah, I'd definitely say that.
All right. So talking about some NFL quarterbacks there, do you have a favorite NFL team?
I don't. I was born in San Diego, so it used to be the Chargers when they were there, but they moved to LA, so I don't really have one now.
You didn't follow the Chargers out to LA.
No.
Well, I'm a Chiefs fan, so you'll be happy to know that I have always rooted against you, and I love Patrick Mahomes. So Patrick Mahomes, he definitely tears it up on the field a little bit. But kind of talking about some NFL players, is there a player that you model your game after, or just a player in general that you look up to?
I would say moving forward, I definitely am going to try to model my game off of Christian McCaffrey. Just somebody who can kind of move all around the field, do everything, whether that's run the ball, catch the ball, catch things out of the backfield, line up in the slot. I think my just athletic ability can help me do that. And obviously, I've played quarterback my whole life too, so I can throw it and can run all kinds of plays. So,
okay, I like to hear that. And so, you're coming up into your senior season. What are some goals that you have for yourself this year?
Well, we won state last year, so nothing short of doing that again. We did have a loss last year in week 2, so I guess the only thing I would say is to go undefeated and win a state championship and really just enjoy this last year with my boys, and because I'll never get to do it again.
So you lost last year, second game. Who'd you lose to? Will you have a chance to avenge that loss?
We lost to Clinton. They won the state championship the year before. But yeah, I definitely think it's at their place this year, so we're definitely gonna show up with a chip on our shoulder, and that's gonna be a good game for sure.
So who is the best player you've played against in Oklahoma? Outside of yourself, of course.
The team we played in the state championship last year was pretty good. Their quarterback was Kirk Francis. He's at Tulsa now. But he threw for over 600 yards against us, and final score of that game was 72-56. So they were a pretty good team as well.
That sounds like a basketball score, not a football score. 72-56. So, hey, well, you know what? Andy, I really appreciate you coming to the podcast. And I really appreciate you kind of just giving a little bit more insight to your recruitment. And again, I'm sure the fan bases will, whatever team you decide there's going to be at the top 3, would love to follow you. So go ahead and tell everybody, where can they follow you on social media? Where can they find you?
So I have Instagram and Twitter. It's at the Andy Bass on both of those. So go follow it. Go hit me up.
Okay. All right. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and hit the subscribe button. Guys, I'd love to bring you more content like this, and hitting that subscribe button, it does nothing else but just help me bring you guys more content because it tells me that you love it. So make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button. So there you all have it. You guys got a chance to hear from Andy Bass himself, and he will be announcing his top 3 this Saturday, July 29th. And it's going to be exciting because Andy Bass is expected to be at the party at the Palace for the Oklahoma Sooners. So now the question is, are the Oklahoma Sooners going to be able to make up enough ground to beat out the likes of some of these other Power 5 school offers that he's got, like Syracuse, Kansas, or Kansas State? And like I said, I expect as the senior season continues to go on, Andy Bass will get more offers from other Power 5 schools as they find other needs on their team and potentially see his senior film. You see that with a lot of schools, right? They want to reevaluate more talent, and when they see senior film, they end up liking players a little bit more than maybe they did with sophomore and junior film. But one thing that you notice as you're watching the film here is you're watching his huddle highlights. You see just how versatile he is with his feet, which is saying a lot because you did okay at the quarterback position. Might not be the top in Power 5 talent. He might be a Power 5 backup quarterback somewhere. But Andy Bass is a guy that you could potentially play at running back, and you've seen that in the stats that I read off to you earlier, where he had 117 rush attempts for almost 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. And so you look at guys that Oklahoma's been able to bring on, like a Gavin Freeman in a preferred walk-on role, and maybe look at Andy Bass and go, that might be a guy we want to give a scholarship to because he might be a little bit more explosive for you in that area. And you never know. He might be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. He might be able to run some routes for you. But ultimately, if the Oklahoma Sooners are able to land Andy Bass however they want to use him, they will utilize him like a utility knife, and he will definitely get touches on this offense because, like I said, as explosive and versatile as he is, it's going to be hard to keep a guy like that off the field. But guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are. So go ahead, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what y'all's thoughts are around Andy Bass. Where do you guys think he will land? And if you have not already, go ahead, hit that like and hit that subscribe button.